So as you see here, only by devotion one can find God. Right? So this is a famous statement which is made in scriptures, right? Only by devotion. So it took me quite a while, to understand like why devotion, why not anything else. So I'm sure like many of you also like are a little confused with all those things which are presented in the Shastra. For me, it took me about almost a decade to understand that only Bhakti Yoga is the one which is allowing you to connect with Krishna, connect with God, in fact. So I used to think Karma Yoga means, like to do anything and offer the result to Krishna. Jnana Yoga means to read scriptures, understand the philosophies, and understand Krishna. And then Dhyana Yoga is to meditate on Krishna. And Bhakti Yoga is to do devotional service. I used to think like that. And then after a while, I came to know that Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga has nothing to do with God. And I was surprised, shocked. Right? So you must have also felt reading Bhagavad Gita each time, repeatedly each time, will give you a different meaning. And then you'll also like read Bhagavad Gita, and then while you are reading, you will feel, hey, where this sloka came from, Because last time when I read, this sloka was not there. I mean, my focus was not there, So in this way, I mean, my understanding about like devotional service kept on changing, and then it was like it's still evolving. It's still evolving at this moment, and surprisingly, I mean, I get to understand the deeper aspect of bhakti each time with the help of our like seniors, authorities, with the help of devotee association. So I just wanted to like share today what all I found till today. It's been 18 years I've been practicing bhakti, and then I'm going through lots of like readings, lots of sharing with devotees, and by churning so many things, this is the summarization form of what I learned in 18 years about bhakti. Okay. So Lord Chaitanya explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita that an astrologer said to a poor man, "Your father is rich, but you do not know, so you are suffering." Right? Everyone wants to become rich, and then to have a rich father is always a privilege. So, but then we have forgotten. We don't know. So then, what is Lord Chaitanya doing here is like rich father is comparing to the Lord, Supreme Lord. The suffering poor man is us, right? Jiva Tattva. And astrologer is the Vedic scripture. So when we read as scriptures here, we come to know that, oh, our father is Krishna, and then Krishna has Sahasra Lakshmi serving him, right? Now, but then the problem is like this simple statement, to understand it and to believe it, it takes huge amount of like, energy, lots of time. It takes lots of time. We all know Krishna is supreme, and then he is our father. He is the seed-giving father. We all know that. But then to accept Krishna as the source of everything, it's pretty difficult, right? So that's why we end up like doing so many things, especially the work we do today. We earn money, we do like lots of hard work, not believing that Krishna is Supreme Father. Now, this also happened to me in my life. When I joined Krishna consciousness, I thought like, okay, fine. I mean, let's have, let's do devotional service, means chanting and doing all these kind of things. But then at one point, like I thought I should give up my life, material life, and then focus on Krishna. So His Grace Patri Prabhu, he was always there to guide us. And then after about like 2.5 years of joining Krishna consciousness, I had the feeling that I must leave everything and go to Krishna, serve Krishna. So what I did was like I went with my wife to Padre Prabhu, and then I expressed myself to Padre Prabhu. Padre Prabhu, I want to give my life to Krishna, to completely. And Padre Prabhu said, well, fine. Here is like a Gaurnitai in front of you. Why don't you go and promise that from today your life is Gaurnitai? I said, very well, fine. So I went to the corner where they were kept. So I was like folding my hands, and then I was praying. As I started like praying that my life is yours, the thought came, what if Padre Prabhu says from today you stay here? What if he gives saffron? What will my wife do? Where she will go? And then what if he says like go to the corner of Nepal and preach alone? What will I tell my parents? What about my job? What about my business? All these kind of thoughts started coming. Then after about like 1 minute of kneeling down there and praying, Padre Prabhu said, so you promised your life is for them? Then I looked at Padre Prabhu and says, Prabhuji, I think I'm not ready. So many thoughts starts coming, and Padre Prabhu said, no, it's not easy. It's not easy. So then since that day, I every day I used to feel guilty. Oh man, I cannot submit myself to Krishna. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. Every day I used to remember, come on, I'm like stupid. I'm like rascal. I thought like I was like courageous, but then I was not. So it took me about like another 3 years to finally, get beaten with all this difficulties, sufferings. Of course, nice things also happen. Right? To understand that this material life is, like Srila Prabhupada says, it's impossible. Krishna consciousness is difficult, Prabhupada says, no? But material life is impossible, he used to say. So at one point, after joining in Krishna consciousness for another 5 years, total 5 years, and then again I met Padre Prabhu in Nepal. Then this time I said, Padre Prabhu, I really want to surrender myself to Krishna. And then here is Gaurnitai, why don't you promise? Again, the same thing he said. And this time, without thinking anything, I just promised. Okay, from today, my life is Krishna's. Do whatever you want. I submit my life to you. Then since that day, I've been trying to do my best to serve Krishna. And amazingly, my life changed. I was like doubtful. What will happen to me? Will I succeed? Will I get to eat? What will my wife do, and then my parents will do? And of course, it was kind of a not easy thing, but then slowly everything started changing. Everything. My parents became supportive. Now they are chanting, So it took little time, but then everything and everything, all the finance and everything is taken care by Krishna. Amazingly. I'll give you some example that my cloth I'm wearing, all these like dresses, all the food I eat, I don't earn it. It's provided. Believe me, it's provided. I've not done any shopping for last 11 years. It's since 2010 I've been doing this. This computer I'm using to give you class is also like donated. It came from America. It's one of the best Surface, Microsoft Surface, and then everything. This phone is also provided by Krishna. It's Note 20, Samsung Note 20, but I'm doing my best to utilize it in Krishna's service. Everything, this bead bag, everything comes from Krishna. Amazingly. Now I'll give you like one of the example, when I came back from Thailand, and then I promised to Padre Prabhu that my life is Krishna's. What happened? Yeah. What happened to me is I thought if I'm not earning anything, and then I'm utilizing my life completely to Krishna, then I have one thing to do. I cannot depend on my parents also. So being a man, and not earning and then asking money from parents, not good. So I thought okay, I'll buy a motorbike. I need something to transport because my parents are like, I mean, they are also rich, you know. So I thought, okay, I'll not buy a car, but I'll buy a motorbike. So I went to my father, Father, can you help me to buy a motorbike? He said, why? Why motorbike? Why don't you buy a car? You know, motorbikes are not safe. You know, buy a car. Then I didn't know what to say, you know, like because I didn't want it to have expensive things because I'm not going to earn and then I won't have money to maintain it, you know. So then I insisted, but then he also insisted, no, 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 buy a car. Let's go out to the market. So he took me around and then when we went to the showrooms, brand new cars, you know. Then I was always choosing the lowest one, but still didn't feel good, you know. So I told my dad, Dad, why don't you go for second-hand car? Why second-hand? No, 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 second-hand, let's go. So went and then I chose like one of the cheapest car, Maruti, Suzuki Maruti, you know, like small one, small car, because I knew the one headlight, if I meet an accident and then one headlight gets smashed, it's just 1,500 rupees, you know. It's just 1,500 rupees. But if I buy like good cars like 30,000, 40,000 rupees. So I chose that. My father was shocked, you know, but I insisted and then bought that car in about like 5.5 lakh rupees, Nepalese rupees, very cheap. So for 3 years I was having that car. And then my wife used to call it like detached car because it didn't have AC, it didn't have anything, you know. But it was a good car. It never broke down, you know. It was like it drives fast, Maruti Zen, you know. And then I was like happy. I was happy with that car. Then in 2013, Patri Prabhu, you know, and then Maharajas, they made me temple president in ISKCON Kathmandu. Then Patri Prabhu came and told me, Prabhuji, now you're president. I think you should have a nice car, nicer car, because you'll be meeting lots of like important people. Then I told Patri Prabhu, I've given up everything. How am I supposed to buy a nice car? And I cannot go and tell that. But I don't know, you just buy. So I was like worried what to do now, you know. So I was just praying. And all of a sudden my father-in-law comes and I say, why don't you have a nice car? This is not a good car. And I said, well, I'm happy with this car. I said, no, no, I'll buy you a new car. Then I told my father-in-law, you know, I mean, he came and like keep on insisting, you know, every time I meet him, he will say like, I'll buy you a new car, new car, new car. And I said like, see Sasurji, you know, in one, the his dowry is one time in life. When I married your daughter, I got that dahez. You know, whatever you wanted, you gave me, I'm happy. Why you want to give me again and again after like, I mean, so many years of marriage, you know? So please, I don't need it. And like, he kept on insisting, no, no, you should have a nice car, nice car, nice car. And he bought me Nissan, which cost like 55 lakhs, you know. So he bought me one. I mean, see, I mean, what I'm trying to say is like, I mean, even to my, I mean, not having desire, things are provided. You know, things are provided. Now at home, I have like about 5 cars, which I can choose any car to you know, like, right? No, 5 cars, which a normal person will never have. I mean, I'm not working, I'm not earning, I'm not doing anything, and yet I have all these facilities. And my father, I mean, my father even told this statement that, you know, we gave up all the business, we sold it, and then my parents are also like now living a retired life. And then he's saying, you know, our property is increasing. Why? He said, like, is it because you are in devotional service, we are getting blessed? You know, wherever we buy like house, the money goes up, you know, the price goes up, you know, and all this kind of things, you know. So anyway, that was one thing. And then another surprising thing I would like to share is like, people know, devotees know that I'm from a rich family. So whenever they had like money problem, they would come to me and then, Prabhuji, I need like 10,000, please help, you know, I'll return to you and then this and that. But believe me, if you check my wallet, you know, I have like 5 rupees, 10 rupees. Sometimes, you know, I go out and then for the parking, I don't have enough money to pay, you know, and then they get mad at me, you know, because I don't need money. I mean, I don't have money and I don't need money. Everything is provided, you know. So when these devotees come and when I have to turn them down, I didn't feel good. So I shared this to my wife. I said like, Sucharusi, I mean, I feel so bad, I wish, I can help them, 10,000, 20,000 rupees is nothing. So, I told her that at least 5 lakh rupees, if I had 5 lakh rupees, I could have helped so many devotees. And I don't need money in return when I lend them, when I give them. So I was like sharing this to Sucharu, and after 1 week, one Mataji walks into my office, and she was sitting there. She just greeted and then started like taking 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakhs, and 4 lakhs, and 5 lakhs of cash put on my table. And she said, "I want to donate 5 lakh rupees to you." So I said, "Very well." I took out the receipt pad, and then I wanted to like write her name and then make a receipt for that 5 lakhs. And then she said, "No, don't make receipt. This is not for temple. This is for you." I said, like, "Mataji, I'm Grihastha. I'm not supposed to take the donation, like you give to temple." He said, no, this is for you. You and your wife, you are so dedicated, and then I want to give to you. And we said, like, see, our parents still supporting us. We don't need any money. And she keeps on like, and then I said, like, give to temple. If you want to give to temple, I'll take it. If you want to give to me, I don't need it. And she said, if you don't need it, why don't you distribute to devotees from your hand? She exactly said this. Then I just stood up. I said, "Excuse me, Mataji." I went to my wife and then I said, "Why did you share my things to others?" And she was like shocked. What things? I said, like that 5 lakh things I shared. Why do you have to tell to other Matajis? And she said, "No, I didn't share to anyone. Why? What happened? Come." Mataji. No. She didn't tell me anything. I just felt like giving, and then I came and I'm giving. No, so many times, these are like small things, but many times it has happened in my life that everything is taken care by Krishna. Everything is taken care by Krishna. This is like a very, simple principle, because Krishna is our Supreme Father, and yet we are like, we are like reluctant, and that's why we end up like working very hard, like like what Prabhupada says, like working like donkey, thinking that I have to do everything, I have to earn everything. Okay, so anyway, we'll go ahead. So learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance. Okay. Just 1 second. Non-dual substance, yeah, Brahma, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Right? These are the 3 aspects of like Krishna we are going to, like understand. Now, I was always like wondering about like this what do you call Maslow's hierarchy. I was when I did my bachelor, I got introduced to this pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which says like the many people, they are like after physiological, like need, and then when it's fulfilled, then they go for safety, then belongings, then esteem, and finally self-actualization. The hierarchy of need also evolves, and then finally when people are like done with all these things, and last is self-actualization. And this works perfectly, this pyramid works perfectly. So when I came to Krishna consciousness, I was always thinking, well, how come this Maslow knew this? Is it true? What does our Shastra say? I did little bit research and then found this. There is a sloka in Shastra, in one of the Upanishad, that which says, Ahara nidra bhaya maithunamcha samanya etat pasubi narana dharmo hi tesho adhiko bishesho dharme nahina pasubi samana. Right? So this is the sloka, and I was like matching this with Maslow's hierarchy one day, and it works perfectly. You can see this, Ahara nidra bhaya maithun. Even the sequence is like the same. Sequence is also same, where Maslow says like physiological, then safety and belonging, right? Then he says like dharmo hi tesho adhiko bishesho, means what makes like us like special is the dharma. Now in dharma also there are like two categories. Like one is called kanda and other is called yoga. Now kanda you can hear like karma kanda, jnana kanda, upasana kanda, and there is like yoga. And in yoga also like there are like 4 yogas, no? Karma, jnana, dhyana, and bhakti. Right? So in this way, the hierarchy goes up and up, and our pyramid goes up and up. So Maslow's hierarchy is like the basic, and then now we are getting this like very detailed like hierarchy. Right? So this is the yoga ladder from the Gita, you know, bhakti, dhyana, and all these kind of things. So this also shows, I mean, we can also see that bhakti is the topmost thing. Bhakti is topmost thing. But then bhakti is also misunderstood by many. Because like by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you know, it's given in such a simple form. It's such a simple form it is given. That's why. Now, there's a sloka in Bhagavad Gita which says that all the yogis, the one with great faith who always abide in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Now see, I mean, Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead and his opinion matters. No, so of course, like, I mean, all these yogis are like great. Even Krishna accepts them as great personalities, you know, Karma Yogi, Jnani, Yogi, and Dhyani, and all these kind of things. You know, but among all, Krishna loves the devotional service wala. Means like devotee is the most. You know, this is Krishna's opinion, and then his opinion matters. Right, and then seeing bhakti from another perspective also, you know, we have like 5 types of liberation: sayujya, sarupya, sasti, salokya, and samipya. Right, so I was reading Srimanasitya, and these are in quite a few details, like it has been mentioned, whereas sayujya mukti Prabhupada has forbidden. You know, like, I mean, he has restricted us to like desire for Sayujya Mukti. Now, Sayujya Mukti, what it will do is Sayujya Mukti will take you to Brahmajyoti. Now, I was reading Sri Ishopanishad. And then in Ishopanishad, there's one sloka, I forgot like which sloka, but there, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, what he mentions is Sayujya Mukti is even worse. Right, even worse than Sayujya Mukti is even worse than going to heaven. So I was like thinking, I mean, going to heaven is nearby, you know, it's nearby. But then Sayujya Mukti will take you to Brahmajyoti. Brahmajyoti is spiritual sky, Baba. How come going to spiritual sky is lesser than or even worse than going to heaven? No, they're like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he gives this quote, I mean, statement that going to Brahmajyoti even is even more hellish than going to heaven. So I thought, like, well, heaven is like material world. You know, you get Apsara and Somras and all these kind of things, like Indra gets. But then going to Brahmajyoti is far more better, no, isn't it? Far more better. And then after Brahmajyoti comes Vaikuntha and all these kind of things. So then I was like surprised by the analysis what Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives. What Bhaktivinoda Thakur says is, you go to heaven, you will live for a few thousand years from, I mean, worldly calculation, right? Few thousand years. Going to Brahmajyoti, you will live for millions of billions of years. You'll stay there. But then after both going to heaven and going to Brahmajyoti, you have to come to this Martya Lok again. Now, when you finish your punya, you have to come down to this world again and then live. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, by going to Brahmajyoti, you are delaying your going back to Godhead even more than going to heaven. You know? Wow, then I understood. Wow, cool. Makes sense. Means like whatever we do, which is delaying the process of bhakti, is to be rejected. No, this is what I learned. So in my life also, you know, I love doing so many nonsense because of my habit, which comes from this life and then maybe previous life also. So I question myself. That if I do this, will Krishna be happy? Will Srila Prabhupada be happy? And many times, the answer is no. Because I do so many things which has nothing to do with Krishna or like Srila Prabhupada or which is conducive to bhakti. Then I find myself like cheating myself. Once Patri Prabhu, I asked Patri Prabhu, what is delaying us? Delaying us like going back to God. What is delaying us? And he said it's a self-deceit. No, it's called Atmaghat. No, Atmaghat in Sanskrit. Self-deceit. And he said there is a book from Bhakti Vinod Thakur, where he explains Atmaghat, self-deceit so much in full detail. I'll give you class one day. And he told that until today he has not given. I'm still waiting, and I really wanted to know because all the time, most of the things which we are doing is we're deceiving ourselves. We are preventing ourselves from going near to Krishna. And we already know. See, we already know. There's a version I like. This is which says, Manushya Jivana Paya, Radha Krishna Navajiya, Janiya Suniya Bisakai. Right? This is such a wonderful version, and which says like, yes, we are knowingly drinking the poison of this material world and preventing ourselves going back to Godhead. No, this is such a hard thing. Yesterday I was talking to one wonderful devotee from Coimbatore, and then what he said is, see, I've given up my property and my wife. Now I'm living my retired life. No, I don't. I pray to my parents, but I am more focused in bhakti. But I've given up all these like worldly things. But I have to still deal with my mind and intelligence and all these kind of things. And it's very difficult. Means, yeah, like meat eating, gambling, intoxications, these are gross. So it's easy. Gross things are easy to give up. But when it comes to subtle things, it's more difficult. Now I'll give you one example of like Bilba Mangal Thakur. You must have heard about him, Bilba Mangal Thakur in Chintamani. Famous Acharya, one of our famous Acharya, right? Who comes in our lineage also. So if you see the life of Bilba Mangal Thakur, in his previous life he was a sadhu. Now he was a sadhu and he was a mendicant, traveling with Kamandalu, going around, and he had only one desire. He loved feeding devotees. He loved feeding sadhus and devotees. This is all he wanted to do. So all the time, what he had is desire. But then he didn't have money. Being a sadhu, he didn't have money to feed the devotees. So one day, what he hears is like the princess. One of the princes died, and the king is burying that princess, and then a lot of treasure is also buried underneath. So at night he goes and then digs and then he gets all the treasure and then sells it and then give feast to the sadhus, months and months feast to the sadhus to his satisfaction. And then one day that money also finishes. And then he's still not satisfied. Then he hears that, oh, that body of that princess also had some, ornaments. Then he decided that he will dig again and then get those ornaments. So this time when he dug and then saw the body full of like ornament, he took out the ornament and sold it and then fed like sadhus. And then in the next life, he becomes Bilba Mangal Thakur. He doesn't go back to Godhead. And not only that, he becomes attracted to a prostitute called Chintamani. Now what happened? What happened, Baba? Person who feeds like sadhus, a devotee, is supposed to go back to Godhead because he doesn't have any other desire. But then the question comes here. By feeding those sadhus, who becomes happy? Krishna or him? You see, when you go to the subtle level, it's even more difficult. It's more even refined. Because Rupa Goswami says, Anukulena Krishna. Now, when he gives the definition of pure devotional service, it says Anukulena Krishna, means it has to be anukul to Krishna. It has to be favorable to Krishna. But here, Bilba Mangal Thakur, it was not anukul to Krishna, it was anukul to him. his desire, his mentality, right? And then not only that, being a sadhu, when he saw the naked woman, even dead, next life he had that woman, that princess become Chintamani. And then he was attracted to Chintamani, right? So this was the last bit of what they did mistake, that any desire, even in devotional service, which is giving you satisfaction. I hear like many times like devotees saying, oh, I didn't enjoy doing this service, I wish I get another service. Be careful, Baba. We'll be born as Bilu Mangal Thakur again and then have that attachment with whatever service we like. So devotional service is very refined thing. I mean, it's refined thing. We have to go ahead. I mean, with very careful, but anyway, other like liberation, which are like Sarupya, Sarsti, Salokya, and Samipya. Raghunath Goswami in Manasitya says that these four, this Sayuja will take you to Brahmajyoti, and these remaining four liberation will take you to Vaikuntha. Now in Vaikuntha, also like the devotee of Krishna are not happy. They are not satisfied. And even the devotee of Krishna is forced, he says that even devotee of Krishna is forced to like take one of these liberation out of four, then devotee will choose the Samipya. No, Samipya is one which you live along with the Lord, side by side. So devotee thinks that if I live next to Krishna, next to Narayan, at least I will get chance to serve him. That's why this is the only like Samipya. Salokya is living in the same lok of Vaikuntha. You may not be in front of Lord at all. Sarsti is having the same opulence as Krishna. And Sarupya is like having the same form as Krishna, which devotees are never interested in. Right? So bhakti goes beyond these five liberation. That's why I mentioned it here. Right? So they go to Vaikuntha, and this is Brahmajyoti. Okay, now in Manasitya, he says, the highlight, I'll just read the highlight. I further request that you even abandon your attachment to Lord Narayan, the husband of Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who offers the grand benediction of residence in Vaikuntha. So if we talk about pure devotional service, we are even surpassing the Vaikuntha. What to talk about heaven and Brahmalok and all these kind of things. Okay. So in Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami, again, he mentions this hierarchy of like devotees, the hierarchy of people, not only devotees. So it starts from Ugra Karmi. Ugra Karmi are the like most selfish people, so they are only thinking about their own like satisfaction, not even like families and all. The person who thinks about family is little higher than Ugra Karmi, and they are called Kandis. They are called Kandis. Karma Kandi, Jnana Kandi, Upasana Kandi. Now they are doing all this karma this like a puja and pratishtha, just to satisfy their whims, just to satisfy their family, for the welfare of the society. They are doing it in the Karma Kandi. Now Karmi is little better than Kandis. Now Karmi is, they are doing the action, but giving up the result. They are not detached to result. Now Gyanis are even more bad than Karmi, because Karma Yogi, because they think that, oh, if the result is to be renounced, why do we have to even do the action? So better even renounce the action. So the Gyanis, they even renounce the action and the result. And Yogi, Dhyani, I mean, this is Dhyana Yoga, Yogis, they are even better than Gyanis, because they think that, oh, even if we have to renounce the action and the result, then why even think about the action? Even thinking, they give up. So they go into the silence. They think about sunya, nothing. They even don't think of anything. So they are even better, I mean, than the yogis. But then better than yogi is Kanishta. Kanishta. Now we are coming to the bhakti, level of bhakti. Now Kanishta is, better, because Madhyama, The Kanishta are like those who are like now attached to Krishna. Now Krishna starts coming in the life of people from the level of Kanishta. But Kanishta is like me and Krishna only. Same like now this Kandi in the material world. It's like Kanishta is the devotee in spiritual. That's the minimum of spiritual world. Better than Kanishta is Madhyama. Please don't worry, I'll explain to more depth. Madhyama, and better than Madhyama is Uttama. Now, Uttama, they are like very much attached with Krishna. And better than Uttama is Vaikunthavasi. Better than Vaikunthavasi is Mathuravasi, then Vrindavanvasi, then Govardhanvasi, and Radhakundvasi. Now, this is the hierarchy of what Rupa Goswami shows. So if we see our like position, most of us, we are in Kanishta and Madhyama. Right? And then sometimes we feel, so low. We are not being able to advance in Krishna consciousness much. But can you see who are below us? Kanishta, we are already like Kanishta, and below us, like so many people struggling in this world. And sometimes we get puffed up by practicing bhakti, and you can see this hierarchy and see, I'm just Kanishta. There are so many levels to go up. So many levels to go up. Okay? Let's go ahead. And then Rupa Goswami again explains in Nectar of Devotion about levels of bhakti. So he says there are 3 levels: sadhan bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. Right? He summarizes. And beautifully what he explains more about is these things. Sadhan bhakti he expands. I was like wondering why he spends so much time in explaining sadhan bhakti. If you read like part 1 of Nectar of Devotion, there are 19 chapters in part 1. Out of 19 chapters, 16 chapters are used to explain sadhan bhakti, and 2 chapters used to explain bhava bhakti, and 1 chapter explaining prema bhakti. Because going to this, then I was wondering why. Then I realized sadhan bhakti has so much of level. Because there are 9 stages of bhakti, which is explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kadambini. This Vaidhi Bhakti holds these 4 levels of bhakti: Shraddha, Sadhu, Sambhadan, Kriya, and Ananta Nivritti. This is Vaidhi Bhakti. And Nishtha, Ruchi, and Asakti is Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. So Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti is where we follow the rules and regulations. Rules and regulations like this 4 regulative principles, 64 angas, and then in Kali Yuga, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu knew that we are not going to follow 64 angas. We cannot follow any kind of rules. What to talk about 64 angas. So he discounted in that 64 angas also. Okay, you just practice 5 angas, Panchanga. Panchanga, the 5 last angas of this sadhan bhakti. You just practice that and you will be perfect. So like that, in Vaidhi Bhakti, it's very difficult for us, like in Kali Yuga, to like follow the rules. And then by practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, we will be promoted to Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. So it becomes habitual, habituated, habits. By practice, it becomes habit. I still remember this, in 2002, I came to Mayapur for the first time. My father-in-law said, okay, let's go to Mayapur. I said, where is that Mayapur? It's like 3 hours from Calcutta. It's like a beautiful village. As soon as he said village, I was not interested. I said, oh, no, let's go to Singapore. That'll be fun. Let's go to Sentosa Island and then we'll have fun. No, let's go to Mayapur. So that time I was not in Bhakti, So he forced me, okay, father-in-law says we have to go, So I came to Mayapur, like very skeptical. But when I came here, it was so beautiful. So beautiful. I stayed about like a week and then I forgot everything. I forgot home. I forgot my work. I forgot money. I forgot the whole world. And then I started shaving, wearing dhoti, even though I was not devotee. But of course, the reason I wore dhoti and tilak was not for devotion. I found like if I shave my head and wear dhoti, it was easy to go inside the temple, or else they will stop and make you go through the security. Of course, that was the reason. But anyway, so I was here, and then all of a sudden my wife said, let's get deities, Radha Krishna deity. I said, what is Radha Krishna deity? And then she took me to the shop and then showed me this little Radha and Krishna, brass, made up from brass. I said, why you want to get these deities? This is so that I can dress them and then make them sleep, I can feed them. I said, at that time she was not initiated. I said, Sonja, that was Sonja, are you crazy? You didn't play Barbie doll in your childhood? You didn't have enough time to, enough like opportunity to play Barbie doll? Why you want to buy the dolls again? You're like grown up old lady, come on. No, you're not supposed to. And then she said, no, let's get deities, she forced. And when the wife insists, husband has to surrender, So I say, okay. So I still remember, we had like Radha Krishna deity, and they're so merciful that, that time I was like alcoholic, I used to drink. So, and then she says, no, how can you drink in front of the deity? Then I said, okay, make them sleep, put them to sleep. And then as soon as she used to put them to sleep, I used to start drinking alcohol, and I get boozed and all these kind of things. And then of course, like in a month, 4 days, 5 days, she will have periods, menstruation. And then that time she couldn't, worship, and she will force me to do that, And I'm thinking, what is this? This is doll worship and this and that, And then whenever she was not there, not in front of me, I will not give them bath and then just change the dress quickly. And then, because that's the worst thing I would do, but then amazingly, when I started like doing 4 days in a month, right? And then sometimes she's like going to university, she doesn't have time. It increased 5 days, 6 days. And then later on, even to my not having desire, not understanding what I am doing, And then eventually I started having thoughts of them, when we go out, and then I would say, hey, Sonja, we have not given them prasadam. We are outside, what to do? We have not offered them, offered them any food. We have not, and sometimes late night parties, I would go and then, oh, I've not put Krishna to sleep. Not out of devotion, but out of mechanical. It's a mechanical thing, just because of my wife, I have to do it. But then, having thoughts of them, becomes habit. That's why Prabhupada says, if you're living away from like temple, if you're not living near to temple, it's always nice to have deities. Grihastha should have deities, because having those deities, you become like, habit, it becomes habit. And by doing the same thing again and again, your mind gets convinced, your intelligence gets convinced. So this is such a wonderful, like process. Sorry, just give me one second. Okay. So this is like this is so sorry. Okay, so Vaidhi Bhakti will make you the habit, and then it will promote you to the Raganuga Bhakti. So when I was like doing my Bhakti Shastri, Kadambakanan Maharaj was like giving this class about nectar of devotion, and he was telling this Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti is by naturally, when you start like doing things naturally. So he was the example he gave was, as soon as the curtain opens, like in Darshan Arati or other times, as soon as the curtain opens, he asked, what do you see? What do you see in the altar? Then I told like, I see the face of the Krishna. I look at the face of the Krishna, he smiled. And then he said, that's your Raganuga Bhakti. And somebody said feet, somebody said dress, somebody said flute, and he said, whatever you see immediately, naturally, that's your Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. But then, because we are not qualified, we want to advance in Krishna consciousness, we have to follow the Vaidhi Bhakti. Because Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti, Rupa Goswami says, is the safest path. There is no fall down in Vaidhi Sadhan Bhakti. Whenever we make practice, So he said, like, even you see the face of the deity naturally, you have to remind yourself, oh, I'm supposed to start from the lotus feet. So you have to take darshan from lotus feet, and then the thighs, and then the hip, and then the chest, and then the face, and then paraphernalia, and all these kind of things. There's a sequence. Go from left to right, down to up, all this kind of thing. These are Vaidhi Bhakti. But then Raganuga Bhakti, like I said earlier, you have like certain services which you are interested to do, which by doing that service, you even forget to take prasad, or you don't even have to sleep doing. There are certain services. These are your Raganuga services, But then there are certain services which you feel like, no, I wish I don't have to do all these things, But these are, but still we have to do it because it's Vaidhi Bhakti. It's given to us for our advancement. So we need both like Vaidhi Bhakti and Raganuga Bhakti. And by practicing Vaidhi Bhakti, eventually we'll be promoted to Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti. And Raganuga Sadhan Bhakti will take you to the level of Bhav, and Bhav matures to Prema. Right? And that is the ultimate goal of a human life. Right? Now, if we go further, Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives the what do you call commentary on this Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's like Madhurya Kadamini, and he says Anisthita Bhakti. He would name this Vaidhi Bhakti as Anisthita Bhakti, up to the level of 4. Shraddha, Sadhu, Sang, Bhajan, Kriya, Anartha Nibriti. Now, Anartha Nibriti, Anisthita Bhakti. In Anisthita Bhakti is like Bhakti Vinod Thakur like talks about like 6 symptoms. There are 6 symptoms to know that we are still in Anisthita Bhakti. Anisthita means there is no like guarantee that there is like practice of Bhakti all the time. So he gives like example. He gives example, not example. He gives 6 symptoms. 6 symptoms. If you have read that book, you'll know this. It says like Utsamai. The first one he says is Utsamai. So Utsamai is like you have like so much of enthusiasm in the beginning. I still remember the first time I joined Krishna consciousness, I thought I'll make my parents devotee, I'll make the whole world devotee, and then went and then I immediately went back to home and then said, Dad, don't eat meat, quit the alcohol, and then you'll go to hell for this and that, and my father didn't like it, Of course, it was like anti-preaching. He became more against, So of course, like that's Utsamai. And then later on, we think like ISKCON is the best. We go around and said, hey, you fool people, you're going to other organizations, come to ISKCON. You all are like going to hell. ISKCON is the only organization which will make you pure. That's our like Utsamai thing. But later on, we come to know that there are so many discrepancies in ISKCON also. There are so many politics you will see and then say, oh, ISKCON is bekar and this and that, So there's no consistency. There's no consistency for your enthusiasm, right? So it's called Utsamai. It goes like enthusiasm goes down all the time. First nice enthusiasm and then down. This is Utsamai. And second is Ghanatarala. It says Ghanatarala means dense and liquid, this solid and liquid. Ghana Tarala means 1 month we'll have Pakka Sadhana, we'll go to Mangalarti, chanting becomes nice, and then the next month we are sleeping late, waking up late, sleeping till late, right? And all these kind of things, So sometimes chanting goes nice and sometimes chanting doesn't go nice. Sometimes we think that, yes, I will dedicate my life to Krishna, and sometimes I say, no, I have to be practical, like let's compromise and all this kind of things, So this is what happens, in the level of Ghanatarala. Then after Ghanatarala, there comes a stage called Vyuda Vikalpa. Vyuda Vikalpa is indecisive. It's very difficult to decide. Should I become brahmachari or should I get married? Should I earn lots of money or should I not earn? Just live a simple life. What to do? Like indecisive. Okay, Krishna is supreme, but should I surrender to Krishna? And then should I wear dhoti or should I wear pants? In this party. There was also like my time. I used to feel shy wearing dhoti. But now it's been 10, 11 years that I'm going everywhere with dhoti, even in parties and in universities, everywhere I go with dhoti, you know. I feel dhoti is better than pant now, but there was a time I used to like feel shy wearing dhoti, you know. You know, one time one of my friend, I mean, wow, this is so, I mean, everyone's sitting on the seat. Huh? So one time, like, I mean, I was like wearing dhoti and then going to the market. I had to go to the market, and two of my childhood friends saw me, you know. And I was like feeling, oh my God, like they saw me in dhoti, you know, I just wanted to disappear, you know. And one of my friends said, hey, look, that's Rupesh, look. And then the other friend said, no, that's not Rupesh. Rupesh doesn't wear dhoti, come on. No, then, no, look, he has got mole there, you know, that's Rupesh. So I was like doing like this and then just disappearing, you know, just ran from there. There was a time, I mean, I was like feeling shy wearing dhoti, you know. But then there is, nowadays, I feel like dhoti is such a prestigious cloth, you know? I mean, it just represents Krishna, represents like spirituality, you know? So like that. I mean, this is like what do you call indecisive, you know, Vyuda Vikalpa. And next, Vyuda Vikalpa, next is Niyamakshama. Niyamakshama is like we do lots of sankalpa. We practice for a while, we cannot do it, and then we thought like, okay, I mean, well, I tried, who can do it, you know. You give like forgiveness, you forgive yourself, you know, Niyamakshama. You know, we do lots of like, we take like lots of vow. I mean, I'll not do this, I'll do this, you know, like making New Year resolution. We also make resolutions in Bhakti, in which we fail, and then we forgive ourselves. You know, okay, come on, I mean, I'm not pure devotee. No, this is a famous statement. I'm not a pure devotee, okay? You know, and one of the disciples, we use that to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada said, then why are you not pure? Become pure. You know, so I mean, that's the excuse we give to ourselves. And the fifth one is called Visaya Sangara. Now, most of us, we are like struggling with this. Visaya Sangara is, we know this Janya Sunya Bisa kind of, no, we know this is wrong. We're doing the wrong thing, we know that, but we are habituated what to do. You know, it comes from the sanskar, it comes from the karma. You know, we cannot help it. You know, we already know that this is wrong, this is wrong. You know, Visaya Sangara, Visaya means like sense gratification, and Sangara means struggling with Visaya Sangara. You know? So, and then the sixth one is the most dangerous, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Tarangarangini. You know, name is so nice, Tarangarangini. Taranga means wave, and Rangini means to enjoy the wave. So what happens in Krishna consciousness by chanting holy name and doing all these kind of things, you know, we are, you know, we become, I mean, very fortunate, what do you call, we do auspicious things. You know, of course, we call it Sukriti if we relate to Bhakti, but if we don't relate to Bhakti, by doing service to Krishna, we get punya. So much of punya. By chanting one name of Krishna, it's equal to like performing 100 Ashwamedh yagyas, thousands of like, you know, Rajashri yagya, and all these kind of things, you know, so many cow donation punya you will get by chanting one name of Krishna. And we are chanting 1,728 Mahamantra, you know, every day. I mean, 16 rounds is so much. 1 lakh of name, you know, like chanting and chanting and chanting. Can you imagine how much punya we get like by doing Krishna consciousness? And you know what we do? By practicing Krishna consciousness, we'll buy a motorbike, we'll buy a car using that punya, you know. You practice Krishna consciousness and we become so fortunate, and then we do so much of like sense gratification out of that. No, I mean, you might think, well, is there sense gratification in Krishna consciousness? Yes. No, I'll tell you, I mean, I'll give you my own example. Like, you know, being temple president is such a privilege, Prabhu. You know, I remember I went to Chaupati when I was not temple president, and they didn't allow me to stay in the temple. They said, Prabhu, we have only 6 rooms, it's all booked, you know, we don't have facilities, sorry, Prabhu. So I had to find my own place, nobody helped me. But after I became temple president, I went to Chaupati. I was like king, you know. They gave me one servant, they gave me room, and then bam. You understand? Being a temple president, I have got so much privilege to use or misuse the money of the temple. Well, I'm a temple president, let me buy a car. Nice car. I need one. Okay, Patri Prabhu told me to buy a nice car, So I can use temple's money to buy a nice car. So I mean, being in Krishna consciousness, we are provided with so much of facility. I tell devotees, when I'm giving you class, and some of you might thinking, wow, what an information, you are taking notes and this and that, wow, cool. And then at the end of the class, you say, Prabhuji, such a nice class, you are such a wonderful devotee. And then what if I believe you? What if I believe you? Can you imagine? Then I go to hell. This is Taranga Rangini. Because all this information is not my information, it's Prabhupada's information, it's Krishna's information. But then coming to ISKCON, we think that, oh, we become such a great preacher. No, ISKCON is a platform given to us. No, and then I always challenge myself. Sometimes I get puffed up. I also get ego problem. I feel like, wow, I've done so much. And then I always think, if I'm not given the organization called ISKCON, if I have to go alone anywhere, if I have to go alone anywhere and then create organization like this, create audience, make them devotee by my own endeavor without using anything from Srila Prabhupada. Will I be able to do it? No. Then my ego becomes, subdued. Yeah, it's Prabhupada, it's ISKCON. It's the platform, it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's power which is working. It's the knowledge coming from the parampara, It's nothing to us. But many times we end up we think that, oh, I deserve prasadam, I deserve this, I deserve that. This is my position. I've given so much to ISKCON, so I need something in return. These are all Taranga Rangini. And believe me, Bhakti Vinod Thakur said this is the most dangerous. Why? Because it's taking away your bhakti and giving you sense gratification, which you are supposed to use in Krishna's service more. Like Indradimna Maharaj said, by chanting holy name, you will get to chant more. By doing devotional service, what is the result? You will get more service. But then I can see in ISKCON many times, many devotees cannot become pure devotees. So they end up becoming senior devotees. Barishta Bhakta. They cannot become pure devotees. So they end up becoming senior devotee. Okay, I'm senior devotee, so many years in Krishna consciousness. Come on, let me, you should respect me, you should. And then, Prabhuji, you don't go to book distribution. Come on, Prabhu, I am senior devotee. That's for the neophytes, all these kind of things, these are all Taranga Rangini. Be careful. Right? So Bhakti Vinod Thakur very nicely said that these are the symptoms of just 1 second. These are the symptoms of Anistita Bhakti. So, but Anistita Bhakti is also nice because lots of anarthas are seen that time, and then they are washed. They are destroyed. That's why it's called anartha nivriti. Whereas anartha nivriti is actually not the process, it's the result, but it's put as a process because lots of anartha is destroyed. Almost Bhakti Vinod Thakur says almost 90%. Majority of anarthas are destroyed at this stage. Then comes Nistita Bhakti, is Nistha and Ruchi. These two steps comes in Nistha and Ruchi. Nistita Bhakti means when we come to that level, we come to that level, it's called Nistha. Now Prabhupada says, Raghunath Das Goswami in Manasicha says, this is Madhyamadhikari. Madhyamadhikari means one who has Nistha and Ruchi. So there are two stages in Madhyama and Uttama Madhyama. So Madhyama is Nistha, one who is in Nistha, and Uttama Madhyama is called one who is in Ruchi. Now there are three definitions of pure devotee. One is called Uttama Adhikari. You can see Uttama means one who is Asakti, Bhava and Prem level is called Uttama Adhikari. Right? And then one who is Uttama Madhyama, who is in the level of Ruchi, because Ruchi to Asakti is very near. It's easy. That's also called pure devotee. And third definition of pure devotee is who is who is willing to advance in Krishna consciousness all the time, no matter you are Kanishta. That's also the third definition of pure devotee. So if a Kanishta is showing, endeavor all the time to go towards like Krishna, it's also to be considered pure devotee, because eventually he will become pure. That's the definition. So Prabhupada is saying, become Madhyama, at least Madhyama. Why? Because in Kanishta level, Mahamaya works. Mahamaya is like acting to you. Now what happens to the Mahamaya acting? Because Mahamaya's job is to check whether you are qualified for Krishna or not. So like I told you, let me surrender to Krishna. And Mahamaya says, okay, let me see how much surrender you have. So she starts giving, what about your wife? What about your parents? What about your this and that? Then I said, oh, no, I'll not surrender to Krishna. So Mahamaya says, see, you rascal, go back to your level. So Mahamaya's job is to take you away from Krishna. Not because she doesn't like you, because we are not qualified. But when you reach to the level of Madhyama, Yogamaya starts like acting on you. Now Nishtha means you are like determined that, yes, only Krishna. I'm going to work for Krishna and Krishna only. No, you are determined. Your intelligence is working towards Krishna. So in this level, now Mahamaya stops like acting on you. Who starts acting on you? Yogamaya. Now Yogamaya understands that, you are determined for Krishna. And then she starts like pushing you towards Krishna, helping you towards Krishna. So as soon as you become Madhyama, there is high chance that you will become Uttama. And in Shastra, it's also like mentioned that to become sannyasi, at least you have to become Madhyama. So most of our sannyasis, gurus, they are in the level of Madhyama, Nishtha and Ruchi. And Baba, this is not a low level. This is very high level. Madhyama is very high level. To become Madhyama, it takes like ages. It takes many lifetimes for many of us, to become Madhyama. Because as soon as you become Madhyama, Uttama is guaranteed. Eventually, it becomes the ladder. See, this Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem, these are like very, very easy. And if you reach the Uttama level, Asakti level, it's fantastic. Because Asakti level is the level where you start seeing Krishna physically. See Krishna physically. So Asakti. So Asakti becomes like matures like Bhav and Prem. And Rupa Goswami, he explains Asakti, Bhav and Prem, how he explains in Nectar of Devotion is, it's like a mango juice, mango juice. Now, mango, what the pure form of mango juice is the pulp, right? You take out the seed and then the peel, and then that's the pulp of that's called. And when you grind it, or like when you make it, like it's called mango juice. That's the purest form. But if you add little bit of water in that pulp, what juice is it called? No, it's still the mango juice, isn't it? Now even you add a little bit more, and if you add even more water, it's still mango juice, but the quality decreases. So Asakti is the less minimum quality prema, whereas Bhava is little better quality of prema, and prema is the original form, right? So Asakti, Bhav, and Prem, they are like different forms of prema. So it's just like our prema becomes more dense and dense and dense and dense, and when it becomes 100% pure, then we go back to Godhead. Right, so this is also like from Manasitya, that most of the time when in Kanishta level we are influenced mostly by Tamagun. That's why practicing Bhakti, for many years, if we still remain in Anisthita Bhakti or in Kanishta level, after even practicing 10 years, 20 years, we'll still have questions. Is Krishna really God? Does he really exist? And then sometimes something bad happens to our life. Where is God? Where is Narsingadev? He's supposed to protect me, this kind of thing. Because of Tamagun, ignorance, we'll have this kind of things. And then in Nishtita Bhakti, mostly Rajagun acts. That's why preaching needs lots of Rajagun activity, empowering others, delegations. It requires in Madhyama, in Rajagun. And in Uttama level, like Sattvagun. Now, Sattvagun happens in Asakti and Bhav level. And once we reach Prema, Prema is different because this is not, now you're transcendental. So it's called Suddha Sattva. You're in the level of Suddha Sattva. Now, Prabhupada exhibited all the levels of like Prema, Suddha Sattva. He was in Suddha Sattva. He didn't show any kind of Tamo Raja or Sattva. So in this way, I mean, we can see like how Bhakti is like also in Bhakti. Now, there's one more thing which Rupa Goswami mentions in the later part of the Nectar of Devotion is Sadhan Bhava Prema is, not all in all. After Prema, there are 7 levels of Bhakti. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it's mentioned. It's called Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Bhava, and Mahabhava. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, what he says is, Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, Raga, Anuraga, Bhava, and Mahabhava, these are not explained. These are not explained in the scriptures much because a human body cannot experience it. A human body, as long as we have this material consciousness, we cannot experience all these things. These are only experienced by transcendental devotees. This is like Srila Prabhupada and all. This Sneha, Mana, Pranaya, these are like the levels in spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan. So these are like 7 different levels of bhakti again. So why am I telling you all these things? Because we are like in Kanishta level, and sometimes we might like think that, bhakti is like nothing. Now, see, bhakti, we are in this level actually. My dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees bring me under their control. I cannot be thus controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, renunciation. Right? These are the 6 things like Krishna uses, which cannot like conquer God, which cannot like conquer, Krishna negates. I mean, but most of the time we are doing all this kind of like activities, So lastly, I mean, this is all I have to explain to you, and I think this shows that how bhakti is superior, supreme, is the highest than anything else, And then what I would like to share is like there are 2 processes in bhakti, right? Mentioned by. I mean, I think it's introduced only after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Now, one is Bhakti Yoga. The other is called Krishna consciousness. Now, Bhakti Yoga and Krishna consciousness are same and different at the same time, right? Now, Bhakti Yoga is Bhakti Yoga. We talked about Bhakti Yoga so much today, right? But we didn't talk about Krishna consciousness. Now, all the Bhakti Yoga activities are 100% Krishna consciousness. But all Krishna consciousness activities may not be Bhakti. So what I mean is, see, I was like reading Padyavali. And in Padyavali, I came to, there are like lots of statements from different acharyas, which Rupa Goswami compiles, So one of the statement of a gopi, in Padyavali, she says, she's from the earthly Leela of Krishna. Now Krishna is playing flute. And as soon as Krishna plays flute, she threw her child, sucking her breast, to the ground, and then she starts running towards Krishna. Right? And then she meets Krishna, and then there was like Ras Leela, and then at the end of the Ras Leela, Krishna says, go back home. Go and take care of your child, and then your husband and the family. And then this gopi says, Krishna, what are you saying? I've come and surrendered myself to you. I cannot resist your flute playing, And what she says is, one of these gopis, she says is, I don't care about my child. I don't care about my husband. I don't care about my family. Let them go to hell. All I want is your, like love and care. All I want is your darshan. All I want is to be with you. Do something. Give me some service. Now here, Gopi, who is in the highest form, saying that I don't care for my family. And here we are devotees. We are going to devotees and saying, please pray for my parents. Let them become devotees. We are so much concerned about our parents and families and relatives. So what's happening? What's happening? No, gopis are rejecting the family, and here we are including our family and thinking so much about them to make them Krishna conscious. No, gopis, if that was better, if this, what we are doing is better, then gopis supposed to do, I just left my child, can you also make him like pure, please? And then, gopis must have said that. But then gopis don't care. They care about Krishna's enjoyment. No, can you imagine Gopi coming with child to Krishna in Ras Leela? Can you imagine? No, it's not possible. So for Krishna's enjoyment, they are even ready to reject their child. But here, we are so much concerned about our family, not about Krishna. More about family than Krishna. So what are we doing? We are doing karma kanda. Remember, karma kandi, who is concerned about family, for the welfare of the family we are doing. But we are doing karma kanda, but in connection with Krishna. That's not bhakti. For bhakti, it has to be anukulena Krishna. It has to be anukul to Krishna. No, but we are doing something, which is anukul to us, but in connection to Krishna. That's called Krishna consciousness. One very, very karmi person comes and gives donation to Krishna. We have like so many life members, donors, who are still eating meat, but then they give good donation to build Krishna's temple and to do so many things. Well, while they give donation, they are Krishna conscious, but they are not bhakti. Right? So Krishna consciousness is a doorway to bhakti. So Prabhupada, and because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, introduced this system of Krishna consciousness. No matter what, dovetail everything to Krishna. That's Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada could have named our organization International Society for Devotional Service. So he named International Society for Krishna Consciousness because Krishna consciousness is more broader than bhakti. No, of course, Krishna conscious, by practicing Krishna consciousness, we eventually will bring you to the Bhakti Yoga. No, and without practicing Bhakti Yoga, we'll not go back to Godhead. So sometimes, why I'm saying this, because many times our devotees, I've seen they're like watering down, watering down like bhakti so much that just by putting tilak and then chanting few rounds, we think that we'll go back to Godhead. I'm not trying to discourage you, but I'm just trying to portray that we have to work harder, to go back to Krishna. Sorry, because Krishna is very high standard person, very high level. Now even Maya Devi allows us to go back to Godhead, go to Goloka at this moment with this same consciousness, whatever we are doing. You know what we'll do? We'll kick out Krishna from Goloka. No, why? Because I've seen in ISKCON, everyone comes and joins ISKCON to change themselves. But then they end up changing ISKCON according to them. This is such a stupidity. And that's such a self-deceit. One pure organization created by Srila Prabhupada for everyone to go back to Godhead. And we are making that organization to stay in this world. Be okay, let's chant Hare Krishna a few rounds and then let's stay in this world. What is the problem? Janma bhavatat bhakti, Janma janmanishware bhavatat bhakti rahit. What is the problem? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said we will come back again and again, take again and again birth and be in the association of devotees. What is the problem? Hare Baba, what is the guarantee that we'll get bhakti in next life? So Prabhupada is like insisting us to be very sincere and then be serious. Like, can you imagine? We are very sincere with our work, very sincere with money, we're sincere with like our family, so many things. Why not be sincere with Krishna? Prabhupada says, how long, Prabhupada, how long does it take to become pure devotee? He says, 1 minute, 1 second. Just surrender yourself to Krishna. One of our, one government official happened to read Sanskrit in his childhood. And I was having conversation with him. He was in education section. And he was sharing. He said, like, he told Sanskrit sloka, which I don't remember. And he said, he explained. He says there are 6 different ways to achieve God, and the most easy is bhakti. He said, most easy is bhakti, because in bhakti, just one thing you have to do. Just one thing you have to do: surrender to Krishna. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam braja. That's the only thing you have to do. Just one thing. Krishna, I'm yours. That's all you have to do in bhakti. And then he says, but nobody is able to do that. That one simple thing. That's why Prabhupada says bhakti is so simple. You can miss it. No, just surrender to Krishna. It's so simple. Krishna, I'm yours. Just like we surrender to our like husband and wife and parents, family. We surrender ourselves. No, it's so simple. So just go to Krishna and say, Krishna, I'm yours. That's all we have to do. But then it's difficult. We all know that it's difficult. Right? So bhakti is like very simple. And of course, bhakti is also sophisticated. It's very subtle. It's very sublime. It's very sublime. It's like not gross at all. And sometimes bhakti is misunderstood, misinterpreted. Right? But then if we read like our Acharya's books, of course, first Srila Prabhupada books and then Acharya's books, yes, we'll never be misguided. We need to know the philosophy. Of course, practice is more important. Whatever I explained today, of course, I'm not pure devotee also. I'm not in that level that I'm practicing all of them. But knowing them at least will remind me that I'm not pure yet. And then I have to work harder and harder, more and more. Okay, so thank you very much. So if you have any question or if you have any statement you can share, I'll be more happy.
So thank you so much, Professor Prabhu, for these wonderful sessions. Before the question answer, I would like to announce. So next week, this coming Sunday, we have His Holiness Vasudev Swami Maharaj, who will be giving class on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2.63. And next Wednesday Sangha, we have Her Grace Nitai Sevani Mataji, who will be speaking on January 19th, same time, 8:30 p.m. EST. So we have Bhakti Vriksha program every Friday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. And every morning we have chanting. Devotees can join 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. anytime with the same Zoom link. And every Monday to Friday we have a Bhagavad Gita reading from 12 p.m. to 12:15 p.m. So anybody has any questions, please raise hand and can ask. And thank you so much, Professor Prabhu, for giving us, like, pushing us and making us understand that, bringing that confidence, right, once again in bhakti, that, making a reminder on us that we need to work harder, we need to put more effort, right, utilizing what we have and appreciate what we receive as a gratitude, right, and making us like understand like different level of bhakti, and then nothing belongs to us, and we need to use it for Krishna. So thank you so much for that. So anybody has any questions, please raise hand.
Hand is raised.
I think Gail Mataji is there. Gail Mataji, please go.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Wow, that was so nicely explained, everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You just briefly brought up that Gita verse 647.
Mm-hmm.
And there Krishna talks about the yogi who both abides in him and thinks of him. So for me, those two sound the same. Do you see difference? I was wondering if there is difference, if you would be able to distinguish them for me.
Yeah. Abides in me, right? And then thinks of me within himself. Abides is like when we talk about this mukti, salokya, samipya, sarupya, and then sasti. This mukti is also like when you are like always with Krishna. You're also serving. I mean, the devotees in Vaikuntha is also serving Narayan, but then they are serving in the mood of like opulence, you know, Aishwarya Bhav. So there is a distance in Aishwarya Bhav, whereas in loving, in when they serve in loving exchanges, you know. So in Vaikuntha, devotees are say, I mean, it's our Acharya says that in Vaikuntha, devotees still remember that Narayan is God. There is like God and devotee relationship. But in Goloka Vrindavan, there is no God and devotee relationship. There's Krishna. Everyone simply loves Krishna, not because he's God, because he's an individual whom they love. No, so this Bhakti yoga deals with that kind of love, whereas other yogas deals with other process deals with like all this mukti, which is going to Vaikuntha. So Krishna is summarizing here is like even you go to Vaikuntha or you go to Goloka Vrindavan. You know, so if you see, I mean, the other way to understand is like I found other ways by seeing the Ladini Shakti. You know, there are like three Shaktis in Goloka Vrindavan, right? Ladini, Sambit, and Sandini. Now, Sandini is Shuddha Sattva, right? Sandini Shakti is Shuddha Sattva, and these two other energies, Sambit and Ladini, they are like playing on the platform of Sandini. Right, so this Ladini Shakti, let's focus on Ladini Shakti only, is the topmost representation of Ladini Shakti is given by Radharani. So Radharani in Goloka Vrindavan, the way she treats Krishna, and the Ladini Shakti, which treats like Krishna in Dwarka as Rukmini, is different. Now, if you see Radharani is experiencing completely 100% Madhurya Bhav, whereas Ruk
I think we lost Prabhu. When Prabhu is joining back. So tomorrow is Ekadashi, and the fast break time will be on Friday at 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. 7:19.
Hare Krishna. Sorry.
10:30.
So you got the point, right? So there is gradation. There is gradation also in like, I mean, spiritual world. It's not like one same, I mean, pattern in everywhere in the spiritual world. In the even spiritual
Prabhu,
world, everything varies.
You got cut off when you were saying that the Hladini Shakti is acting on the Sandini platform.
Oh. So I missed quite a lot of part.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, a lot.
Sorry. So Ladini Shakti also comes in different grade. Like Radharani, she does the best among the Ladini Shakti. Means Ladini Shakti with 100% of Madhurya Rash is exhibited by Radharani. Whereas the same Ladini Shakti, which Rukmini has for Krishna in Dwarkadesh, no, is mixed with Madhurya and Aishwarya, mixed. And when Sita Maharani serves Ram in Ayodhya, and then that the amount of Aishwarya increases, Madhurya decreases. When we come down to Vaikuntha, where Aishwarya becomes 100%, Madhurya becomes 0. So we can see if there is like gradation even in spiritual world. So even among the yogis who succeed to like serve Krishna or serve like Narayan, there is also gradation. So loving where Krishna takes care about like prema, no, and then Narayan takes care about Aishwarya. So prema and aishwarya are two factors which are like, I mean, distinguishing like spiritual world also. Right,
Yes.
so that's why Krishna here in Bhagavad Gita, since Bhagavad Gita is a broad book which is never understood, even though it has only 700 slokas, so it's in a broad vision. Krishna is summarizing, differentiating all those yogis from those like yogis who are practicing bhakti in Vaikuntha mood or in Goloka mood. He's accepting both of these, Vaikuntha or Goloka mood. That's why he has to use this abiding and loving, two different.
Okay, so so you're saying that those who abide in me refers to
Is Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha?
Vaikuntha, yeah, Vaikuntha, I mean mood.
Because,
And,
I would think that when he says, because the way you're describing it, usually we would say abides, if you're talking about being with somebody, right? You would say abides with me, not in me. So when he says abides in me, that has a different meaning from abides with me,
Yeah.
Abides with me implies like living with him in whichever world.
True. Yeah.
And that's
so
why
this is Salokya Samipya Mukti. Yeah, these are Salokya Samipya Mukti.
Salokya. Yeah, Salokya.
Samipya, Salokya.
Yes, yeah. If it were referring to those, I think he would have said abides with me. But he's saying abides in me. If you abide within the person, it's like your whole existence is revolves around that person. You don't see anything.
You lose your identity, no?
You're so absorbed. I mean, they're devotees, so they don't lose their sense of identity. But they don't. Their whole world is Krishna. That's how I understood abides in me.
Okay, I'll give you one more example. It's so beautiful that it's Gokumar. No, Gokumar. If you read like Brihad Bhagavatam, there are two stories. One Narad Muni and other is Gokumar. Now Gokumar's story is like very illustrated. That he goes to each and every loka one after another until Goloka, right? Now, if you remember when he goes to Tapaloka, right? In Tapaloka, he goes and meets devotees, and there's no presiding deity there. So he asks, where is the presiding deity? Where is Vishnu? Where is Krishna? And then they said, no, we don't have deities. Here we meditate and become one of them. So somebody became like Nrsingadev, somebody became, like Lord Ram. And then they asked, what can you become? Then Gokumar meditated and he became Krishna. He became the form of Krishna. His body became like Krishna, with Mayur Pank and all these kind of things. Then everyone was, wow, he became Krishna. And then after he came to senses, everyone said, hey, you became Krishna. And then he said, what is the use of like being Krishna and you don't understand? You don't get to serve Krishna. What is the use? This is a useless place, right? So when you go to Vaikuntha also, like you also have like 4 hands with Sankha Chakra Gada Padma. You exactly get the form of like Narayan. That's like that's what we call as Sarupya. So all these like rupas, which are like very similar to Krishna, you become like Krishna. And there's another sloka I forgot in Bhagavad Gita where it says that you will get a body like me. You'll get a body like me. There it says. So in the finest version of bhakti, devotees are not interested getting body like Krishna. No, they are not interested. They just want to serve Krishna in any form, even in the form of grass or like stone or like flower or that's like Shantaras and in any form. They don't care. Even snake or like even anything, any form. Gopis or like gopas, right? So the mentality, so the understanding of like Krishna consciousness Bhakti in Goloka Vrindavan is different, completely different than any other place. Even in like Dwarka, Mathura, Ayodhya, and all these Vaikunthas, even though it's spiritual planet, what to talk about other things. So in Bhagavad Gita, in slokas like this, Bhagavad Gita is very difficult to understand. Even in one sloka, he keeps so much of information, because Bhagavad Gita is universally accepted because of this, because Krishna accepts everybody there. But then if you read our Acharya's book, like I gave one example from Manasitya, he says like, reject Narayan, Baba. Narayan is nothing. Lakshmi Narayan, we don't worship Lakshmi Narayan. And then, but Lakshmi Narayan is Krishna, right? But then when you become absorbed in Krishna's loving service, you don't have any interest in Lakshmi Narayan. You don't count. You don't. So bhakti also like comes in different grades. Yeah, you're right. I'm happy that you're scrutinizingly like reading. I mean, in me, you know, that matters.
Well,
with me,
yeah,
in
because
me, yeah, it matters.
I mean, to be honest, Prabhu, I am now a little more confused than before I asked my question.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. But I mean, don't stay in confused state. You have to clear it out. We need
Yeah,
like
I
lots of
mean,
more deeper studies.
I to repeat, I'm my thing was that I understand you're saying that there are gradations of bhakti in the spiritual world. There's also gradations of locations in spiritual world. You know, gradations in Radharani's mood. You know, from like Lakshmi to Narayan from Lakshmi to Radharani. There's gradations from Narayan to Krishna. You know, I understand that part of what you were saying, but you know, I see a difference between saying the best yogi abides in me,
Mm-hmm.
and my yogi abides with me.
Mm-hmm.
And abiding with me would mean, you know, he lives with me, like physically, but abides in me, as it says in that shloka, means
we can also take this in this way also, like the sloka I used like in the beginning, which says like Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaneti.
yes,
right? So these three forms. So abiding in me also like refers to Brahma Sakshatkar, right? Brahma realization. Thinking of me within himself is also like represents like Paramatma Sakshatkar, Paramatma realization, and rendering transcendental service is Bhagwan. So these three forms also like covered here. So we can also understand in that way also. But then see accepting Brahma, I mean understanding the Brahma as Krishna, there is a danger that you also like end up in Brahma Jyoti, which is not. No, because Krishna has nothing to do with Brahma Jyoti realization. You know, Sayujya Mukti. No, Krishna doesn't care about that. You know, but then there is like Brahmeti, Paramatmeti and Bhagwan Iti in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness. That's important. That's important.
Yeah, and that's the one I wanted to know.
Yeah.
You know, how a person abides in him in Krishna consciousness. That's the one I want.
We can do another class for this. I mean, this is very interesting.
I know I've gone
very interesting.
I know I've gone too long, but thank you for hanging in there with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. It's a very wonderful question, and I'm very happy that you're reading it in a very particular way. That's how we're supposed to read Shastra. No,
I'm only trying to understand people. I wasn't trying to be scrutinizing. I was only trying to get clarity.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gail Mataji. Thank you, Professor, for that. Ashram Dhungana.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. I just had a question when you mentioned that, like, the mind she's like testing us, you know, in Krishna consciousness if we are ready to hold on to Krishna or like we're not ready yet. And so is she like, can we relate her to the mind? Is there any difference? Because the mind, in a sense, Prabhupada says it can be your best friend, but also your greatest enemy. So is our mind controlled by Maya, or how, like, what is the difference between Maya and the mind, and how can we control both of them? Well, not Maya, but how do we control?
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. So it's a wonderful thing. I mean, your question brings us down to our level. Of course, like lots of things which I mentioned in today's class is like in the spiritual level. But what happens in our level where we are dealing with mind, right? So in our subtle body, there is mind, intelligence, and false ego. Do you see false ego as Krishna consciousness? Does it have any quality or anything? No, it doesn't have. Right? The false ego doesn't have, because false ego identifies ourselves to this material world, which is external energy of the Lord, which is separated from the Lord, where there is no presence of Krishna. So the false ego cannot relate with Krishna, and mind is the wonderful follower of false ego. Right? So mind also doesn't have the capacity to understand Krishna. Now, by mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of Krishna, Krishna somehow introduced an element called intelligence, which has nothing to do with us. So this intelligence is given to us just for one reason, to realize Krishna. Or else, to live in this material world, false ego and mind are enough. We don't need intelligence in this world to like live. You just desire, things will happen, your desire will push, bring you to things, and then false ego, I'm this body, I'm this, like, these are two things are enough to live in this world. But intelligence is something which is different. Intelligence is something different. Now, intelligence is that thing which is rational, which is always like telling you what is right and what is wrong. Now, what does your intelligence say? This material world is permanent or temporary?
Temporary.
Temporary, right? Krishna is the supreme or not? What does the intelligence say?
He's supreme.
Yeah, Krishna says your intelligence says your parents are more important or Krishna is more important?
Krishna.
But what your mind says?
My parents.
Yeah, right. So what your false ego says? Come on, man. They are the one who give you birth and then who brought you up. Come on, they are so important. No, that's the false ego says. That's what, like when Arjun posed himself. I mean, come on, Krishna. I mean, these five things he presented to Krishna in chapter 1. These are all based on false ego and mind, right? So mind doesn't have the capacity to understand Krishna. Now, on top of that, what happened is we have destroyed ourselves, actually. We can say like this. Because in original, when we originally came to this material world, we were more purer. We are more purer. I mean, we have a little bit of like defect that we didn't fit in that world. That's why we came here. And then we are like now with more problems. But in the beginning, it was better. Why? Because the false ego is the covered Atma. Atma is covered by Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. These three things covers the Atma. And these three things, when it covers the Atma, it creates like false ego. No, that is the state of false ego. No, where false ego is an element, which is like Atma covered with this. And then now this false ego again with combination of Sattvagun makes mind. This is from chapter Canto 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Uddhav Gita, like Krishna mentions this. False ego with Sattvagun makes mind. False ego with Rajagun makes intelligence and senses. And false ego with Tamagun makes sense objects. No, Vishaya. It makes Vishaya. Now in mind supposed to be in Sattvagun, intelligence supposed to be in Rajagun, senses supposed to be in Rajagun, and Visaya, the sense object supposed to be in Tamagun. But what happened? Now mind goes to Rajagun, intelligence goes to Tamagun. So that's why first intelligence goes to Tamagun, right? So it's called Tamasa Buddhi. In Shastra, it's called Tamasa Buddhi. So Rajasa Man, no? So Man supposed to be Sattvic. So that's why when Arjun said, Chanchalami Mana Krishna Pramati Balavadridam, he's talking about mind in Rajagun. So see, Chanchal, activity is in Rajagun. The mind becomes active, agitated, like I want to do this, I want to go there, in America, world, moon, Mars. Now, Bechara, this Elon Musk is thinking of going to Mars. See, look at how active his mind is in Rajagun. And Tamasa Buddhi. But where is the intelligence? Why intelligence is not stopping you? Because intelligence is in Tamagun. What is the nature of Tamagun? Sleep, laziness. No, you have intelligence, but where is intelligence? Sleeping, snoring. No? So by coming to Krishna consciousness, by listening to classes like this, who is listening? The intelligence is listening. Now our intelligence is now just woken up. Yeah, you said Krishna. Well, that's true. That's true. Our intelligence is just woken up. No, that's why he's saying, actually, we're not supposed to eat meat. Being vegetarian is better. Like our intelligence is realizing slowly, waking up. And then see, I give this example. Everyone knows that drinking alcohol is harmful. Smoking is harmful. Everyone knows. It's written on the cigarette packet. Everyone knows. My father still drinks, and he says that, well, actually, drinking is not good. But I take as a medicine, 1 peg, 1.5 peg, he says that. But everyone knows. But what happens? So what happens inside him? I will give illustration like this. His intelligence says, hey, you're not supposed to drink alcohol. It's bad for health. And the mind says, shut up. I want to drink, I'm having urge. So mind is so powerful, and intelligence is like weak, sleeping, just woken up, no energy in the body. Of the mind, of the intelligence. So what can intelligence do? So by being Krishna conscious, by chanting, by listening to classes, by coming in association of devotees, what are we doing? We are waking up intelligence. Wake up, sleeping soul. And the soul has nothing to do with this world. So what works in this world is intelligence. The only savior is intelligence. That's why Bhakti Yoga is also sometimes referred to Buddhi Yoga. So you're sharpening your Buddhi, Buddhi. You're like in intelligence. So the day the intelligence becomes powerful, not the mind. You cannot touch the mind. You cannot touch the false ego, but you can touch the intelligence by Krishna's mercy. You can sharpen your intelligence. When intelligence becomes like powerful, then it controls your mind. And the controlled mind means intelligence controlling the mind is your best friend. So when mind is brought back to the Sattvagun, then it becomes peaceful, happy. It doesn't have any desire in this material world. It becomes peaceful, whereas your intelligence is active. Intelligence is supposed to be active. Let's serve Krishna, true ego. It becomes true ego when the intelligence is powerful. So this is what is happening. So I have always suggested people to make analysis on this every moment. You make a statement, say, I'm listening to the class. Don't say I'm listening. Who is listening? My mind, my intelligence, my false ego. Who is listening to this class? It's not the mind. Mind hates this. Mind is already saying, hey, I'm late for the sleep. I need to do this. I need to do that. Mind is already saying that. But intelligence is thinking, wow, what a class, man. What an information. Wow. Absorbing like the sponge absorbs the water. So it's the intelligence which is supposed to be powerful, and intelligence supposed to, control everything. But till the time our intelligence is not woken up properly, yes, we'll fall as a victim of mind most of the time. And mind is rascal. Mind always connects with this world. What to do?
Thank you. Thank you, Ashura Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Wonderful question, and Rupesvara for a wonderful answer. There is one question in the chat by Rashi Mataji. What is one tip you would want to give for improving bhakti?
Is that again?
What is one tip you want to give for improving bhakti?
Improving bhakti. For 18 years, I have followed one principle. The principle was like put in my heart by Bibi Govinda Maharaj. So what happened? It was not intended for me, but I happened to be there present when he was like mentioning this. So he was like going to give shelter to one devotee, Sabin Prabhu, that time. He has only one Nepali disciple. So I was temple president. So he said, "Oh, temple president, I want you to witness this." He said, like, he told to this devotee, "Sabin Prabhu, there's only one thing which is easy to do in this world. The most easy thing to do in this world is to do what you are told to do." Means he says, always follow the authority. Always follow the authority. So bhakti means always following the authority. As soon as you do things from your own mind, you become responsible for that. You get the consequences. So bhakti means not sukarma, bhakti means not bikarma, bhakti means akarma. How not to be responsible for the result and offer the result to Krishna by doing akarma. And akarma is done only when you follow the authority. One who is, expert in Krishna consciousness, one who is dedicated in Krishna consciousness. When you follow that person, then yes, there is high chance that you advance. So this is the thing which kept me, rolling, I would say, like again and again in bhakti. So following the authority, that is the one thing. And the second thing I was like, I always do is like, bhalo na bhalo matra seva kori. No, there's a statement which says like, either good or bad, you like it or you don't like it, keep doing the service. This will keep you in Krishna consciousness. As soon as you start like listening to the mind, oh, I like this, I don't like. See, in Nepali language, it's like fantastic because we directly use mind. Man paryo, man parena, like in Nepali language is very scientific actually. When we say I love you, we say matimlai maya garchu. See, maya, I'm in illusion, I love you means I'm in illusion. So Nepali language is very scientific actually. So it says like man. So as soon as you like, see, how can you have, I'm always thinking, how can you have, I like this devotee, I don't like this devotee. How is it possible? How is it possible not to like devotee, No, devotees, all devotees are fantastic. They are doing their best to serve Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, they might have some like discrepancies. They might have some weaknesses, but everyone is trying. But then our mind says, no, this devotee is so good because he washes dishes. So many things. He's hardworking. We make like so many conditions and reasons, and we do like all these kind of things. But as soon as you listen to intelligence says no. Everyone is trying to become Krishna conscious. So everyone is respectable. But then mind says, no, I like this devotee, I don't like this devotee. So like and dislike comes, and all these kind of things, So the best way to improve is to like disregard all these kind of things and then be focused in service and always following the authority. That's the fastest way to, grow in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhu. So there is one more question that one question was there by Rupesvara Prabhu. How can we give up our material desire? How can we control our mind full of material desire?
Yeah, I think I've answered that by empowering the intelligence. By empowering the intelligence. You just focus on intelligence. Krishna consciousness means just focus on intelligence. Nothing to do with mind. Prabhupada says, one disciple said to Prabhupada, while I'm chanting, like my mind, like dwells, it disturbs. And then Prabhupada said, where is your mind coming from? It has nothing to do with mind. You just speak the mantra and you just hear the mantra. Whereas the mind has nothing to do with it. But because our intelligence is not powerful enough, mind distracts our mouth and ear from hearing the mantra. You know, but Krishna consciousness has nothing to do with mind. It's everything to do with intelligence. So Namaparad is chanting with the mind. Namavas is chanting with the intelligence, because intelligence brings the mind back. Hey, don't disturb, okay? Hey, what am I doing? What am I thinking? I have to chant. You know, this is the intelligence speaking, actually, not the mind. It has nothing to do with mind.
There's one more question. It says that I know it's good to do chanting in morning. So to wake up early in the morning is intelligence or mind?
Intelligence. It's all the time intelligence. It's all the time intelligence. No, you check for yourself. Check the Shastra. It says only intelligence, nothing to do with mind. And then later on, when the intelligence becomes really powerful, the mind becomes the follower. Mind becomes the follower. That's the only time when the mind will start chanting, when the intelligence really becomes powerful. Right? So Haridas Thakur, his intelligence is working, not the mind. No? So now the intelligence is following the mind, in our case. No, that's why we have likes and dislikes, so many desires. You know, I'm in Mayapur, you know, like there are so many like guest house. There's Gauranga Kutir, and there is Conch building, where you have fantastic rooms, you know. So see, we are conditioned, even devotees coming here, like we have lots of degradations. You know, I need comfort, facilities to do bhakti, you know. And I want like such a wonderful place to chant. This place, I can chant so nicely. Oh, there's so much noise, I cannot chant. Come on, man. Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj chanted in the public toilet because he didn't want anybody to see him chanting. And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said, well, in the beginning, my nose was disturbed, but after a while, my nose gets used to it and I can focus on chanting. Come on. Right? So, but if we listen to our mind, then yeah, it creates a whole different world. So it's always intelligence. It's Buddhi Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is Buddhi Yoga. Krishna consciousness is called Buddhi Yoga. So think about intelligence, nothing else, nothing else.
So there's one more question. So when all sadhana help, easily like tired and demotivated, mind is down, no hope to getting out of high parental depths, what should I do?
Well, in our level, what I've found, most of the times we try to force our mind so much without us being qualified. Means we don't have control over the mind, right? Yet, because our intelligence is not so sharpened. So what we are trying to do sometimes is we are trying to overrule mind without enough. You know, see, can you imagine you go to the war without enough resources? You lose the war. You know, you lose the war. You know, you must have enough artilleries, you know, enough armies, you know, to win the war. You know, you must have good strategy also. You know, but we don't have much of that. Mind is, believe me, mind is more powerful, so much powerful. You know, so much powerful that we cannot defeat the mind yet. So what we have to do sometimes is we have to listen to the mind. You give the mind chance. You know, sometimes you have to freak out. You know, you allow the mind. One of the senior devotee told me, you know, sometimes like it's too much. It's too much. I do bhakti, I do service, and then sometimes it's too much. My mind is not accepting it at all. It freaks out. So be better than it freaks out. What I do is I book a suite in the hotel, best room, an expensive one. I go there, I sleep in nice bed, I swim, I take ice cream for 2 days. Of course, I offer to Krishna, he says. But I listen to the mind. I will watch like movie, you know, 2-3 days. And after 2-3 days, I will tell the mind, okay, you enjoyed a lot, now back to service. You know, so sometimes you have to pacify your mind also, sometimes. You know, sometimes, you know, you have to let the mind do, I mean, of course, don't break the regulative principles. Prabhupada said, when it comes to breaking the regulative principles, don't do it. But other things, yes, sometimes you have to, you know, you have to go to picnic, you know, whatever you like, you know, you do for a while. But don't get like, carried on by that. But sometimes you have to allow the mind do whatever it wants. But once, Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj, he told in one of the class, I liked it so much. He said, that one devotee asked the question, Maharaj, in the West, there are no more brahmacharis, no more brahmacharis, no one is becoming brahmachari. It's only in India. Why in the West, people are not becoming brahmachari? And he gave such a wonderful answer. What he said was, in the people have wrong conception about brahmachari ashram. Because as soon as someone wants to become brahmachari, he's given the impression that, oh, you cannot get married for the rest of the life. You have to remain brahmachari for the rest of the life. And then as soon as he hears that concept, the mind becomes agitated. Oh my God, oh, I have to be celibate for the rest of the life. Oh, I cannot get married. And then mind becomes agitated, and mind will never allow him to become brahmachari. Never allow. But brahmachari ashram is the beginning stage. Rather, you say, okay, let's become brahmachari for 6 months. And then I'll get married. What is the problem? So you become brahmachari. After 6 months, you can increase the term. Okay, should I become brahmachari for another 6 months? Or 2 years? You make like, you deal with mind, and if you want to enjoy, like sex life and all this kind of thing, that's after marriage. Oh, that's after marriage. Okay, but for 2 years, I'll become pakka brahmachari, pakka celibate. That's better stage than becoming a brahmachari, thinking for the whole life, and then not following the celibacy. No, so of course we have to know our level, where our mind stands and where our intelligence stands. That's knowing level, and from that level we have to act. We have to act. Don't attack the mind without enough like army of intelligence. See, mind has impression, desires. Mind uses desires and impression. Eye, sight, ear, ether, hearing, all this kind of tongue, taste, mind, feeling, and desire. Impression and desire comes from the mind. Intelligence has army called vivek, intellect. And Atma, soul, has the army called consciousness, Chaitana. The army of Atma is Chaitana, army of intelligence is Vivek, army of mind is like impression and desires. So you have lots of desires at this moment. See how powerful mind is. So much desire you have, no? Think for yourself. How much intellect do you have? We don't have much intellect. So all this philosophy, they are our army of intellect, By reading books, by reading Srila Prabhupada books, by understanding that, Gail Mataji was saying, abide in me and this and that, you are by doing that, by scrutinizingly reading Shastra, we are increasing our intellect. That's our army, intelligence army. So once we have enough principle, philosophy and all, then we can dominate the mind. No, means like, see, most of the people, they don't read Prabhupada books. That's the problem. That's the problem. I mean, it's because we don't have enough intellect. So we look at others. See, do you realize this? Most of the bhajan we learn from hearing. We don't read it from song books or anywhere written form. That's why if one devotee makes mistake pronouncing one word, everyone makes mistake. No, especially like Tulsi Adi, Brindaya, Tulsi Devyaya. It's Devye, right? Devyaya. But in Sanskrit, it's very sensitive. When you pronounce one word and it's not pronounced in a proper sense, it gives another meaning. O and A becomes like different, right? So see, we learn everything from looking at others. Don't do that. Read from Shastra, read from first-hand information. Don't get second-hand information. Whatever I'm speaking is second-hand information. It comes through my false ego. Read from Srila Prabhupada, who doesn't have false ego. Direct. But we don't do that. But by doing that, what happens? What happens? Our intellect becomes powerful. That's our army, which will dominate, which will defeat the army of mind, which is desire and impression. Right? And then the army of false ego, which is have material consciousness. We need lots of army called Vivek, intellect. So this by discussing all these philosophical things, that's our army. Yeah. And I've seen, I mean, if we don't be strong in philosophy, it's even difficult to remain in Krishna consciousness. No, philosophies are important. Not just chanting. By chanting only, you will become sentimental. We need, chanting is important, but chanting along with like philosophy, guarded by philosophy, is pakka devotee. Means our intellect has to be very, very, I mean, maximum. Okay.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. And definitely, we are very fortunate to hear you. And definitely,
thank you for allowing me to speak. I mean, this is such a revision for me also. I mean, it's a reminder. As I'm giving class, it's the class for me also. That we have to be. Well, I like to share one experience. When I was reading Madhurya Kadambini, actually, Patri Prabhu warned me when I was reading that book, you know, because I heard like such a wonderful class from Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj when I was in Mayapur in ILS. So I was like fascinated when he talked about this Anartha Nibriti and Nishtha, how we go from Anartha Nibriti to Nishtha. So I was fascinated. I came back to Patri Prabhu and said, Patri Prabhu, like Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj gives such a wonderful class. And he said, yeah, I know it's from Madhurya Kadambini. He says, wow, really, Madhurya Kadambini? Do you have that book? You know, he said, like, I have in Bagh Bazar in other place. So I searched in the internet, I downloaded, confirmed with Patri Prabhu, is this the one? He said, yes. And he said, you warned me, don't read it. I mean, you know, why you keep on doing service? That's enough. I said, no, Prabhuji, I really want to know. So it's such not a thick book. It's like 100-something pages. So I decided, okay, tomorrow I'll read whole day. So next morning I locked myself in the office and then I started reading it. So 4 levels were fantastic. Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nibriti was fantastic. You know, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explaining about Nishtha and Ruchi made me think a bit. And then when I read Asakti, Bhav and Prema, I became like, my God, hopeless, completely hopeless. Because of the way he was like explaining it, I thought I'll not make in this life. So I became so depressed. Then I started like feeling uneasy physically also. Then I felt like I have a fever. I put the thermometer, it was with me, and it was 102 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, I had fever. So I completely depressed. And devotees started knocking the door. I thought like, I'll never open the door. I'll better die. You know? So later on, when they started like banging, I opened the door and then they looked at my face and said, what happened to you, Prabhuji? You look black, red, and you know, what happened to you? You look so depressed. Then I said, no, nothing. And then they insisted. Then I said, oh, you really want to hear what I'm feeling? So I explained all these things, what I understood from in brief, and they also became depressed. You know? But by that time, I had the feeling, no, I have to work harder. There's no way back to material world. No way back to material world. There's no, I mean, so I had the feeling, no, I have to work harder. I have to be more serious in Krishna consciousness. So of course, like this discouragement is there, but along with the discouragement, we also need to have encouragement because eventually we have to go back to Godhead. It's just the question of when. Eventually, all the living entities going back to Godhead. You know, the only question is when. This life, next life, 10 lives, 100 lives, millions of lives. We have to go. So Krishna and Prabhupada said, if you are already knowing that we have to go back to Godhead in this lifetime, why don't you endeavor in this lifetime? Why you have to wait for another life? So that's the point. So all these like information, philosophy, they are like sometimes difficult to digest, you know, difficult for our mind to understand, I mean, listen. But our intelligence is very happy knowing all this information. Yes, true, right. Yes, we'll do it. But then mind doesn't allow, it fails us. You know, false ego fails us. So, but we have to keep on trying, increase the intelligence, increase the intellect, number of intellects, number of philosophy principles, they are intellects. Okay, so thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah, thank you so much. So